Hello there. How's it going? Okay. Thank you for joining. We're just going to wait a few more moments for the rest of the attendees to arrive. In the meantime, just familiarize yourself with the dashboard. You can see a video of me in the screen, and then you should be able to see the presentation screen introducing myself. You should also be able to see on the side of your screen, there's a chat bar where you can include any questions and comments that you have throughout the session. I do encourage you to use it. I am being so bold as to allow everybody to be able to comment and see the comments and chats. So feel free to engage. More engagement and questions and comments, the better. I'll do my very best to acknowledge and answer your questions or address any of your comments that you have during the session. But I am conscious of time, and I know it is almost dinner time, so I'm sure as soon as we're done with the session, you want to go on to being with your family and having dinner and that. So thank you so much for joining. This is quite an interesting experience for me. It is my very first time doing a webinar, first time today. So forgive me if I'm a little bit rusty. I'm also trying to learn the platform and program. But seeing as though we're all in lockdown, and it's not that easy to host a live in-person event, which is what I've done. I network and meet with you face-to-face on the phone. We'll give this a shot. So I'm going to start by doing a brief introduction about myself. Again, just a reminder for those that have just joined in on the chat, please do I encourage you to engage with the poll. I'd love to just sort of get an indication of how you feel about your confidence levels in terms of digital marketing and your knowledge thereof. I can see we actually got some people that have hit 4s and 5s, that you are very confident in it. I'm really glad to see that. I am hoping and I'm determined that by the end of the session, those of you that answered 1 and 2 very weak and lacking the confidence skills, that hopefully by the end of the session you'll feel differently. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So for those of you that know me, might know me personally and professionally, but you might not know too much about my career background and history. So I have 12 years experience in the digital media industry. I started my career out as an online campaign manager. What that means is I basically worked in all the systems and programs to run those display ads that you would often see on mobile websites and your desktop sites when you reading up on articles. Fast forward a couple of years later, gaining my experience and technical skills in that field, I moved on to a more of a business development management role for companies. I worked for an international Singaporean ad network and managed the African portfolio. What that entailed was that I had to bring on new clients in terms of publishers. And the primary focus and goal over there was to generate as much revenue as possible for our clients through including advertising on their platforms. At the end of the day, most publishers rely heavily on advertising to sustain their incomes and their revenues and their businesses. So online advertising is a very fundamental aspect of that. As the technology has evolved and has become very sophisticated, I was then hired as employee number 1 for 2 local startup companies that wanted me to set up their programmatic systems and new marketplaces in digital media in place with my technical expertise and skills. So I guess I could sort of best describe myself as a non-techie techie. What I mean by that is that I am not a developer or a coder, but I do work with technology and liaise with coders and developers, software developers. Again, I suppose my career is best described as a monetization strategist. Started my company as a consultant on advising businesses on how best to generate revenue. So that was sort of my career 10 years in. And since then, I started Pragmatica Consulting, a digital consulting firm focused specifically on how to generate more revenue online, how to monetize your digital assets. And since then, I've been recognized and received quite a few accolades. And I've been very blessed to have been given the opportunity to travel internationally and speak at international conferences. And I've also conducted and still do conduct dozens of corporate and custom workshops on all things digital media related, whether it comes to marketing, advertising, programmatic media, data analytics, monetization, social media, content marketing, you name it, the works. So yeah, that's just a little bit about myself. For those of you who would like to know more, you're welcome to visit my website and my social media pages. I'll also be sharing them at the end of the slide. But enough about me. All right, we are here to learn, and you are no doubt much more interested in the topic at hand. Tips and tactics, particularly on a tough budget. So given the current lockdown that we're in, a lot of businesses and people have now been forced into digitally transforming their businesses and the ways that they operate, and also the way that they market. So there's a big element of digital transformation. Businesses have been greatly affected by the lockdown. And it's no surprise that there are no doubt very high failure rates of startup businesses in South Africa and globally. It doesn't necessarily mean to say that there is no hope, and why bother starting up a business. The reason why the success rates are probably so high on the failures is probably equally because so many people are motivated and driven to start up their own businesses and be their own boss. But we want to be able to understand the pattern and why it is that they fail. So there's obviously dozens of reasons of why businesses fail early stages, but it pretty much comes down to six main factors and reasons. And for those of you who run a business or have been involved in a startup, some of these might ring a bell for you. What is interesting to know and take note of is that marketing appears 2 times out of the 6 times for the main reasons why businesses fail in their early stages. So failure to market online in an age where Google is a verb. If you're not marketing online, you're not selling as much as you could be. 80% of people that are using the internet have used the internet to make a purchase, to buy something online. And also more than 80% of people research their products online and services online before making a purchase. So you really want to make sure that you are investing as much as you can. A lot in terms of measuring your marketing efforts and tracking them. A lot of us fail as business owners to be on top of the marketing thing. When you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, you're often required to be a jack of all trades. And sometimes when business is overwhelming and you have a lot to do, generally, or times are bad, generally the instinct is that marketing is the first thing to go, budget to be pushed aside, or the one that you spend the least amount of effort. And in tough times, that is probably the worst thing that you can do for your business. So again, the need for having this session that's hopefully will sort of boost up your confidence levels in digital marketing that you can actually implement now today. So This is one of my really favorite quotes that I've come across, and I think it is extremely apparent now, where in a digital era that has changed the dynamics of how successful business operates and how successful your business can be. It is no longer the good old days, or perhaps not necessarily the good old days, but the old days where you as a small business would always be gobbled up by the big corporates. Now it's more about the fast fish that eats the slow fish. If you are not able to agile enough and able to adapt quick enough, your business will not survive in the new digital economy that we're in today. So SMEs have this moment of opportunity to strategize and reshape their future easier than what big corporates do. Companies that are digitally driven and led have more ability to jump up and take up opportunities to grow their business. Just take examples of Airbnb, Amazon, Facebook, Uber, LinkedIn, Udemy, Twitter. All these businesses offer services and have digitally disrupted industries, but they didn't necessarily start out, or their early days from when they started are not the same of what they are now. So take Uber, for example. Uber started up as a taxi cab hailing cab hail taxi sort of thing, tongue tied. But they saw an opportunity for deliveries as well. So now they included Uber Eats and specials. Airbnb started out as just a platform in which you could rent out a space, like a spare couch in your home or an apartment just on the fly. Now their business has pivoted and grown and advanced into a myriad of new services, Airbnb experiences, and hotels and guest houses and accommodation. So they've really evolved much more rapidly and can much quicker adapt to the changing times in terms of the economy and the digital revolution, as opposed to big hotel chains that have been running for decades and hundreds of years. So those are just a few sort of examples. I know that there's many more, and I do understand that each business is unique, but I will be sharing some tips and tactics that are, in my opinion, universal to any business and that you should be able to find applicable. So when it comes to advertising, most people view advertising in a siloed channel approach, commonly distinguishing traditional media versus digital media in the forms of TV, radio, and print, and then digital being the digital devices with an internet connection, like your phone and your computers, websites and mobile apps. Promoting your business or service across traditional advertising channels in this sense is very expensive and costly, and there's often very limited control and insight that you can get into the performance and the success of your marketing efforts. If you are running a TV commercial or an ad on a radio station, or if you are sponsoring an event or have a booth and a banner at a conference. This is kind of what I commonly dub the spray and pray approach of advertising and marketing. You're just trying to broadcast and get your message out there to as many people as possible, and that's about as far as it goes. And again, small businesses that are on a budget, this is definitely not an ideal way and a very limiting way in which you can market and promote yourself. The new worldview is more of defined as digital versus non-digital. So think about it. In this day and age, there are very few mediums that you can use for effective marketing and advertising without having a digital element. Think about new media no longer is device agnostic. Everything is now connected thanks to the internet. Watching TV is no longer just on your TV screen. Listening to the radio is no longer just on your radio while you're driving in your car. I mean, who has just old school radios that only play radios nowadays? Getting the latest news and information around the world is accessible everywhere. And thanks to the open internet, marketing and advertising is more accessible than ever before. And social media has been a major catalyst in amplifying this. So, shall we address the social media? Social media is a loaded topic. There is just too much to cover in a single session. So I will share with you 4 fundamental principles and values that you should never forget when it comes to social media and digital marketing. As much as I'd love to share more information on social media, there's too much information, and these are full-time workshops, and we do other sessions on that as well. But essentially, there are 3 purposes to running, why you would run an advertising or marketing campaign. It's for the purpose of promoting your product or service. You are wanting to build a brand awareness. So when people are thinking about a product or service, your brand is the brand that comes to mind. If you think of sportswear, what's the first brand that comes to mind? I bet you it's either Nike or Adidas. And the reason why is probably because of their phenomenal marketing efforts and their values that they have. And more importantly, especially in the context of social media, it's that creating a sense of community that no other mediums can do quite like social media can. It has that higher level of engagement. So when it comes to reaching people effectively across digital channels and your social media channels, you need to make sure that your core brand message is consistent throughout all the channels that you market and that you advertise on, while also making sure that they differ slightly to complement the channel that you are using to attract your audience and engage with your audience. So reaching people effectively can only be achieved if the medium supports that message that you are spreading out, and the message supports the medium. So to explain what I mean would be, think of Facebook, all right? Chocolate cake is the message that you are driving, all right? Facebook is there. Someone I like chocolate cake. Comes to Instagram, here is a vintage photograph of my chocolate cake. Twitter is known for very real, immediate, real-time marketing engagement. So I am eating #chocolate cake. LinkedIn as a social media platform, my skills include baking chocolate cake. There's obviously a lot more dynamics to go to that, but like I said, there's whole workshops and courses and levels that we do. So this is just a highlight. A few basic social media best practices that are very worthwhile keeping in mind. You have about a 60% chance that your posts will be viewed with the sound on. So you also have to figure out a way to deliver your message visually, because not always are people going to hear your message with the sound on. So you want to be able to also master the power of silence in your social media posts. Movement drives motivation. So making use of animations, videos, animated GIFs promote powerful viewability, and it definitely captures the attention. This is an animated GIF that was done with a cell phone using the Boomerang app. It's an added app on Instagram. And I'm pretty sure you can all relate that if we look at it any longer, we might get dizzy. But you can't help being drawn to that image because of the movement. So also useful is making sure that you engage with interactive content is increasingly gaining popularity and drives further engagement. Instagram has all sorts of little filters and features in it where you can include polls or ask questions and have sliders to show how much people love and support your story and your message. When it comes to stories, there's also all major social networks now not only offer just video platforms, but live video as well. Again, now with lockdown, I think there's no doubt been a huge spike and increase of businesses and people leveraging on the live video features and platforms that we have on social media. And the great news is it doesn't cost you any money. You don't have to pay for this. It's often a free service. Perhaps there are some added premium versions that you would maybe have to pay for, but you're now fortunate that you don't have to rely on getting a TV slot on the latest DSTV channel or on a prime time radio segment and going into studio and featuring your brand or product or marketing message. You can just do it through social media and be able to get your message out there to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. So definitely do encourage you to make use of live video. When it comes to Instagram stories, repurposing your content is very useful. So when you put a lot of time and effort into creating a really cool marketing piece or a video image with lots of interactive engagements into it, a lot of us are familiar that the stories disappear after 24 hours. You can repurpose that, so you can highlight it in the features section for business accounts. For those that have early stage startups, making sure that you open up a Facebook or Instagram business account or a LinkedIn business page gives you a lot more features to use and promote your brand and product, as opposed to just having a personal private account for personal use. So I definitely encourage you to make use of that. So that's a little bit of social media aside. Paid media is quite a big one, and it's obviously sort of the elephant in the room when it comes to your digital marketing efforts on a tight budget. Most digital platforms, you need to understand when it comes to Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any online digital platform, their algorithms are designed to give more viewable reach to paid advertising than organic reach. So it's their main revenue stream. So if you really want to reach and acquire new customers beyond your inner community, you need to invest in paid media, whether that's sponsoring a post or having a post boosted on a social media platform, or doing search engine marketing and paying for specific keywords to make sure that you get up those search rankings. Fortunately, it can cost as little as 50 Rand to boost a social media post. It's no longer paid media only available to the likes of the big wealthy corporate companies that have enormous marketing agencies and advertising agencies to run their media for them. Granted, this also in itself is a very complex space in terms of tackling your paid media. You need to make sure that if your paid media marketing strategy is done correctly, it can be very rewarding in terms of the return on investment you get. The money that you put into paid media can result in owned media, meaning you are now, earned media, meaning that now you have earned a new audience. So if you are running a paid media campaign for the purpose of getting new people to subscribe to your newsletters or to sign up to your services, once they have done that, you now have your earned media. You've got that. Okay. So the point is that it's now much more accessible than it ever is before, but you want to make sure that your strategy is clearly defined. Otherwise, you can lose a lot of money just by throwing money at a paid media campaign and running paid ads without having the proper strategy and intention behind it. Direct marketing. This is the good old school cold calling and emailing. It is the most effective and cost-effective way of boosting your marketing strategies. Direct marketing comes in many forms, but ultimately the most important best practice in terms of direct marketing would be to search for your customer and understand who your customer is. So do research about who your ideal customer or client is. Find out as much information as you can before you approach and you contact them, before you pick up the phone and before you send that email. You want to make it as personal as possible. Do understand it can be very daunting to do those cold calling emails. It can be a really big blow to the ego when you are afraid of that rejection. So best to manage your expectations is to kind of set an expectation of a 5 to 10% success rate when you are doing cold calls or email messaging and WhatsApp messages. A good way in terms of making sure that your direct messaging stands out is obviously visually appealing, using animated GIFs, voice notes, videos, anything short is very useful. For some of you who are in the session today, you might have received this message via WhatsApp from myself. This is exactly a form of direct marketing whereby I posted promotion of this webinar that we're hosting this evening to a WhatsApp group of over 300 people around South Africa. And it didn't cost me any money to be able to reach that community. So definitely leverage on that. Email marketing. All right. Again, I'm sure I'm not the only person that while being in lockdown, we have gone through those old school classic movie marathons. So this movie came up on my Netflix feed a couple of days ago. And it was quite a little nostalgic run. So yes, email is still old school, but still highly valuable and necessary. And it has evolved and advanced so much over the years. You no longer have to rely on sending one email at a time as an email conversation. There are lots of free email marketing tools and accounts that you can do. MailChimp, probably the most popular one. And I personally feel that one of the most flattering forms of customer interest and intent is when they subscribe to your newsletters. It's literally a person is sending you a direct message, pun intended, to say, I am actually interested in receiving more information. I want to hear more about your business and what you're doing. So really take good care of your emailer list. However, be careful when you are compiling an email list. Do not propose marriage on the first date. What I mean by that is don't go sending an email to all your subscribers and doing a hard sell and saying, this is me, this is my business, buy my product. There are a lot of best practices when it comes to email and content marketing. But again, this requires quite a lot, an extensive session in its own. So just an example of email newsletter. This is one that I sent a couple of days ago to showcase work and achievements and obviously highlight the event. Emails are really great ways to promote your latest blog, posts, offers, highlight the work that you're doing and your products. Just please be careful not to spam. So you want to make sure that the content that you are sharing in your newsletters is of real, tangible value that you have. For those that have quite large email marketing lists, especially if you're a B2C business where you have hundreds and hopefully thousands of customers engaging with your product and your services, it's best to separate your emailing list into different segments. For example, new customers or frequent shoppers, or based on their sort of behaviors and engagements. And then be able to curate your email newsletters accordingly for those audiences. Another useful thing that I often find people forget about is your email signature is a brilliant tool that, again, doesn't cost you any money, and it allows you to promote your business and drive traffic to your website, to your social media channels. It's a perfect application in which you can highlight latest news and information about your achievements and work that you've done. So an example of my email signature, I've kind of featured there. It's got a link to my website, my logo. It's got hyperlinks in terms of more work that I do and services that I offer and provide. It actually needs an update. So yeah, but some of you who have received the emails would have seen it. Search engine optimization, all right, otherwise known as SEO. Okay, your website is your primary shopfront. If you do not have a website, you are pretty much non-existent to the world. How else are people supposed to find you if they do not live in the same neighborhood, or let alone country or town as what you do? Making sure to increase your SEO on your website by including as much relevant content as possible. Blogging is a very useful way to improve your SEO by including necessary and valuable keywords. So when you're searching online on Google for those keywords, you want to make sure that your site comes up in the top rankings. Cannot stress this enough, and I've been an advocate of mobile since the start of my career. If you just think about it right now to yourself, how much time do you spend on your laptop versus your cell phone? Just think about it. For those of us that work behind our computers and online, for sure, but even me personally, I've been working in front of my computer and I'm in the digital space online. I spend an enormous amount of time in front of my laptop, but I still spend more time on my phone. Even while I'm working on my laptop, I'm on my phone. So I cannot stress enough how you need to make sure that your website, it's a more top priority. Yes, especially after hours. It is a top priority to focus on the user experience and the user interface on your site on mobile. We rather treat that as a priority as opposed to desktop. Again, in terms of Google, about the keywords, think about keywords that you enter into Google search when you're looking for business, service, or products that are similar to what you offer. Make sure that those keywords are in the content of your site. That's how you'll get your rankings and make sure that your site comes up on top of the search rankings. And a very cool tool that's also free to use, or they have a free version of it, is called Louw-Bester. So those of you that are perhaps in front of your laptops and on your phone at the same time, or have two screens, I do encourage you to actually just go onto Google or type in your browser Louw-Bester, and it helps you to discover keywords to improve your content marketing so that your site and your content gets featured up in the search rankings more than others. It's also very useful when you are wanting to invest in your paid media marketing strategies. So in that sense, if you are wanting to do search engine marketing and you want to pay for certain keywords, you can use this tool to get a rough estimate of how much it costs per keyword to help budget. Online forums. Getting involved in online forums and social media groups relevant to your business is very valuable. There are no doubt best practices. There's pretty much an online forum for just about anything out there. No matter how niche it is there. So whatever business that you are in and whatever value and insight and knowledge, you are all experts in your field of work and your businesses. You have value and knowledge to offer and share. And if people are engaging in online forums, specifically looking for that information, it is a brilliant lead magnet to generate potential customers and clients your way. All right, so comment and engage in these forums for the purpose of helping your industry and your community. You want to make sure that you're commenting on relevant content that's applicable to what you offer and business services that you provide. And just remember to ask yourself, am I truly offering value to the people on these platforms and on these forums? So hard sells are very tacky and off-putting. So you want to always just make sure that you're offering value and knowledgeable insights on these forums. And again, it doesn't cost you any financial investment and effort, just a little bit of time, and it's a brilliant way to market and promote your business. I'm seeing so many people are like always on their phone. Great, guys. How will they find your business if you're commenting as your personal profile? I'm going to get to that right now. I'm so glad you asked that question. The timing couldn't be more perfect. So perhaps depending on, for me in particular, my company I run is Pragmatica. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So I have a personal LinkedIn profile and I have a professional Pragmatica company LinkedIn page. What you can do is sometimes if your personal profile is offers a sort of profile icon image, you can maybe include your company's logo there, or even include on your personal profile name in brackets what your business is that you do. But ideally, you want to separate personal and business to some extent when you're getting involved in online forums. So I'd suggest that some forums you want to get involved in on a personal capacity that's perhaps not business related, but other forums you want to get involved in, best just to open up a business profile and use that business email address to engage on those online forums. But it's perfect sort of streamline into the next marketing hack or little affordable marketing tactic on a budget is publicity, PR. This one often requires many people to step out of their comfort zones, especially if you are shy or have a fear of public speaking or being out in the public eye. Sorry to say, but if you are a business owner and you are a startup, you got to get over that. You cannot survive and thrive and run a business if you are not prepared to put yourself out there. I myself personally had a fear of public speaking that's continued for many of years. And I've had to overcome it in order to survive and bring that business. So when it comes to publicity, there are lots of opportunities in which you should take up every opportunity you can get to be featured on TV, featured in a live interview, featured at a conference. Any speaking opportunity you can get, take it. Do not turn those down, no matter how much it frightens you, no matter how nervous you are. These things establish you as a thought leader, and it's a very powerful and effective lead magnet, especially when you are in the business-to-business marketing space, where your clientele are other companies and businesses. All right, perhaps if you're a bit shy, you can start posting photos of yourself and your staff and your team members. But again, if you get a chance to be on TV, radio, podcast, online interviews, take it, no matter how much it scares you. For me, public speaking, like I said, since I started my company, I have been in the public eye more than ever before in my career. At the end of the day, people are buying into you as a business owner and what you provide and service, not the company that you're hiding behind or the business logo or the business name. You need to be able to humanize your business and show that you are human. It's show who the face is behind the business that you are offering. People buy into people much more than they buy into the businesses. Again, COVID, you might be asking, that's all right and well, but we're all stuck in lockdown. There's going to be a long time before we get to engage in big events and that. Again, pivoting into digital. Now it's about doing these online interviews and online webinars that you can reach out and still engage and communicate with people. I got asked by an entrepreneur community in Malaysia to do an online interview, and if it didn't cost me any money. Spent an hour having an online interview, and my brand and my company services and offerings were now introduced to hundreds of people across multiple countries around the world. It's very valuable media that doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. And yeah, another one that I did from mobile version. Another very useful way for, yes, people is business and business is people, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, it's definitely the people factor that's probably the strongest marketing tool. You personally, as a person and a human being, would definitely be much stronger than any other marketing tool. And again, that's kind of where the influencer marketing side of things come into. If you're still really camera shy, offer to write articles for local online publications. This also boosts your content marketing and your SEO rankings. You're able to repurpose this content by sharing it on your social media channels, across your newsletters, and your website on your blog. You'll be surprised that these online publications are content curated. It's community-driven content. They're actively looking for industry experts in that to write articles, to publish content, to keep their site busy. So for me, if I were to have written a blog post and only published it on my personal company website blog, where I have much fewer monthly active users and views, I would never have been able to get as much publicity that way. This way, my article was featured on a very popular industry online portal, which allowed it to get views for tens of thousands of people who are actively visiting the site every day and reading these articles. Just word of caution though, when it comes to free publicity in terms of content marketing and articles, it has to be more knowledge and topic driven. It cannot be sales pitchy. If it becomes sales pitchy and your article is primarily based on talking about your business and your services and what your product offerings are, it's going to be a sponsored article post. So again, no problem in encouraging that too. That's the element of paid media that you can do. But just be able to be an industry thought leader and content curator of sharing your knowledge, and that it attracts people to your business and your services, and again establishes you as a thought leader. The power of referrals. Never undervalue the power of referrals. For me personally, in my business, I have quite a solid network that I've established over years. So 90% of client inquiries and business inquiries I get are from referrals. I suppose the other 10% is from my SEO and my website online. For those of you that are more in line with product-based and the business-to-consumer approach, incentivizing your customers and your partners and getting involved in affiliate programs is a really useful way on leveraging on referral power. So think about Takealot and Uber. They have a very good referral program in place when they first launched, where every new user signs up gets a voucher that they can immediately start spending, and as soon as they share and their application or site with friends and colleagues who then sign up, both parties get vouchers. So that's a very good sort of incentive for referrals. Again, when it comes to the business to consumer portion, if you have a product that you are selling, e-commerce, there's a lot you can leverage on with e-commerce. And I would suggest leveraging off existing big e-commerce platforms. So just like the example I used for sharing your content across online publications, using it for e-commerce. You might have a website where people can go to your website, buy your products and services, and have it delivered. But again, you're competing with the big giants. So use those big giants like the Amazons and the Takealots and the eBays, and have your products featured there too, so that people can access it, and also be able to drive traffic through to your sites, so that you can maybe start increasing your orders directly online on your website. Probably one of my favorite ones, and I think this one seems to really sort of grab people's attention. It's not so much a digital marketing tactic, but I would definitely say it is a very useful hack if you are a business that's on a very tight budget for marketing, and especially if you are wanting to explore new digital mediums and channels and products and services for your business. Exploit online marketing tools. Most of the marketing tools have free versions with an upgrade to a premium paid for version where you get extra features in that. Make use of those for as long as you possibly can. And when the time's right and the budget is there, upgrade and use those premium packages. Again, almost all online marketing tools and platforms offer free trials. So make use of that. Subscribe to those trials. But just please do not forget to set yourself a reminder at least 24 to 48 hours in advance to cancel your subscriptions. Otherwise, you might get a nasty surprise of unplanned debits going off your accounts. Whenever you're subscribing to free trials, it inevitably always asks for your banking details or your card details. So keep that in mind. Video is by far the most popular way customers want to learn about new products or services. If your site includes video, it's 50 times more likely to drive organic search results compared to text. Why? Because people are finding video content a lot more compelling, and for that reason, Google actually pushes pages that include videos higher up on their search rankings. Again, the topic of being on a budget. Perhaps you don't necessarily have all that sophisticated technology and video production tools. You don't need it. There's a lot of free tools and affordable software and platforms that you can use in terms of video production. And even without that, you don't need, fancy video tools. Your video quality doesn't have to be, professionally done. I conducted a workshop last year at one of the top ad agencies in South Africa. And shame, these poor people were stuck in a boardroom for me for a good solid 8 hours. We had an intense session with them and a tremendous amount of work that they had to go through while they were on their day jobs. And I just asked them if they wouldn't mind if I take a video to see how they did. I'm not sure if the sound is there, if you can hear it. But literally just a selfie video. I mean, the quality of the recording is very, very novice, very amateur. And it's nothing sort of special, but just whatever video content you can produce that content. I posted that on LinkedIn the next day, just to share that, and that post got thousands of views and it got dozens of comments and engagement. So it definitely boosts your engagement levels and your viewability levels. People definitely prefer video as opposed to boring text. Another example of really awesome video, time-lapse video. This was created entirely out of free software. She simply used her Samsung smartphone. She downloaded a fast motion effects app on her phone while recording and doing her artwork. She then edited the video, cropping, added filters, cutting the video, all sorts of other features using a GoPro app called Quick that you can simply download off the App Store onto your laptop or your mobile phone and edit there. In terms of the graphic design, she used Canva, which is a free design templates that you can use. They obviously have premium versions as well if you want to subscribe and have access to more of their content that you can use. And it's really professionally done. And again, all free technology. It doesn't cost you anything to use. Often sound is off when you are watching videos or videos are coming through people's news feeds. So making sure that you include text caption for silent video viewing is very useful, and it also boosts and triggers that drive for viewership and engagement. When it comes to posting promotional videos, marketing messages, you want to make sure it's short and sweet. Try not to make your videos last for longer than a minute. People drop off very quickly. The only time you want to have long form videos is when you're doing live sessions like this webinar that we're doing. So how are we feeling about the session in terms of your digital marketing efforts and confidence levels now? I've actually started the poll. We've covered quite a lot. There's so much more to cover. But again, simply just don't have that much time to do that for you all. But there's so much more to share and to tell for that. And at the end of the day, when it comes to leveraging on these social media tools and digital marketing tactics and strategies, a good marketing leads to better success rates. But in order to have really good marketing, you need to have a solid marketing strategy. Without a good marketing strategy, a lot of your digital marketing efforts can go to waste, and it can be quite costly, and you won't yield the results that you're wanting. So if you need help on that, again, that's why I'm here. That's the reason why I sort of do what I do, and it's my purpose, reasoning for why I started my company. Primarily, as a business, since I started, I consult and work for mostly corporates and larger corporate companies. But again, the whole economic situation that we're in and where business is at now, and the value and the importance of small to medium-sized businesses in terms of keeping our economy surviving, and not only surviving, but thriving. We need to be there for each other and help each other out. And so that's one of the main drivers of why I put so much effort into doing these sort of things and sharing as much insight and value and knowledge and experience that I've developed over the past decade to share it with you, to help you with your businesses. So in addition to that, there's obviously a lot more that can be done, and I've decided to offer a very pragmatic marketing strategy workshop. Get the pragmatic. Now you probably get to understand a little bit more why I called my company Pragmatica. This will be an hour and a half live online group workshop where we'll have much more of a conference call style. So we'll have ongoing conversations. It'll pretty much be the equivalent of that workshop I conducted in the boardroom for the agencies, except we'll have to do it virtually and highly interactive. I'll keep it to maximum 10 people and 10 businesses that join in, because I want to make sure that each person that attends the workshop will have a basic marketing strategy by the time of the session, and will equip you with a digital starter pack. It would also require that I get information and understanding about your business. So if you're interested in attending this workshop and having me curate this workshop for you, please do send me an email or reach out to me and tell me, even in the comments, to say, yes, I'm interested in the workshop, send me more information. I will then email you and request a few questions for you to answer so that I can get a better understanding of where you're at in your business, and an assessment of where you're at, and customly curate this workshop specifically for your needs. You might be asking how much, because this is the business that we're in. Again, I understand that SMEs and small businesses, we are all on a tight budget and times are tough. And so not everyone can afford big fancy corporate rates and that. So I've made sure that I can put this to the as most utterly affordable price point that I can. And the way I see it, it's pretty much the equivalent of, a really fancy bag of groceries from Woolies, or, a nice dinner out at a restaurant with your loved one. But we're in lockdown, so we're not even able to go out and have dinner at this stage. So why not use that money that you would ordinarily spend on one night eating out at a dinner at a restaurant, and use that to invest in your business and do a really good marketing strategy for your business. So if you are interested, please do reach out to me. I'd really appreciate it. Services I offer are go-to-market strategies. If you are a startup business and you're wanting to know how to get your business out to market, you'll be surprised. There is a go-to-market, and then there's a marketing strategy, and the two go hand in hand. Also, if you are wanting to explore other ways that you can generate revenue online, that's where the monetization strategies come into place. And understanding what sort of business you are in, I'm able to better consult and curate a workshop that I can do that. So, Pragmatica will offer anything from an ad hoc hourly consulting session, project work, or mid to long term retainers, which would probably ideally be for most companies. I see I got a question asking when the workshop would be. Again, this workshop would be entirely based on the feedback and responses that I get. So if you subscribe to or express your interest in the workshop now, I can make sure that I conduct the workshop by the end of this month, latest. I'm only running the special for the month of May at that price point. So if you really want to leverage on it, I would definitely encourage you to register or confirm that you want to, and I can share my banking details and send you an invoice accordingly. But by the end of this month, that offer will no longer be on the table, and we shall see, because Pragmatica has quite a bit more things to do on our plate. But I think in this time now more than ever, this service and this offering is needed. So I really appreciate your time. We have 3 minutes left to go before our session ends. Thank you so much. You have my contact details. Please do not hesitate to contact me. Even if you want to send me a WhatsApp, I do not mind. Follow me on my social media pages, although I do emphasize I'm much more active on LinkedIn. I've assessed my business and my go-to-market and marketing strategy. So I've prioritized which channels that I need to focus more of my efforts, because that's where my ideal customers and audience bases are. And if you need help on that for yourself, I'm more than happy to do that for you guys as well. And that's, again, the purpose of having that workshop strategy session. So that's it, guys. Did you manage to answer the poll? I didn't publish the poll, so that would help. Just before you drop off, let me know what your confidence levels are now in digital marketing. If you feel a little bit more enlightened, if it's perhaps a little less daunting, that'd be really great to see. Thank you, guys. I'm glad to see everyone's marketing levels have increased. That's really cool to see. Okay, we've even got some 5s. That's fantastic. All right. More 5s. I'm loving this. People are a lot more confident. That's pretty much the primary purpose here, is just to boost your confidence, and not be afraid of the daunting digital space. Whenever the technology or the digital things are just too much and too overwhelming, leverage on the experts, get the help. You can't be expected to do everything and be an expert in everything. That's why we have businesses and services that we offer. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. I'm going to end the call off now. But again, like I said, you've got my contact details. And if you have any interest, please do share. You will likely get an email in a few hours' time, or find an email in your inbox tomorrow morning, whereby you should get a recording of this webinar. All right. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Bye.